Alright, this is going to be a hard video to make because, well, it's kind of like losing your best friend almost, because the Retina MacBook Pro has been kind of a mainstay in my life for some years now. It's really, unfortunately, time to move on. This machine is a 2015 Retina MacBook Pro 15-inch, and it is what I call the DOS Dude 1 special because this used to be Ryan's machine, and when he wanted his 2013 back, he gave me this because the 2013 had sentimental value to him, and he wanted it more than the obvious value lost from going from getting this back. Plus, he had the 2017 MacBook Pro at the time, so that's how I ended up with this machine. And then DOS Dude 1 pretty much was like, hey, I've got a 2015 board you can have that I can't use because I don't have a machine it's going to go into. And he shipped it to me, put it in. Turns out it had battery issues, and that actually became a video on his channel. I'll try to remember to go link it. And so I got a nice upgrade out of it to a 2.8 gigahertz board with dedicated graphics for pretty much free. Just a little bit of time was needed on my part. Unfortunately, the dedicated graphics board wasn't as good as I'd hoped it would be, and the dedicated GPU has been more of an albatross slung around my neck than a help, because I've tried to actually use it. I've tried to load up Windows and play games and, actually do some intensive work with it, and the problem is this machine just does not have the cooling capacity to handle both a 2.8 gigahertz i7 and a dedicated graphics chip, which is really unfortunate because I feel like maybe there's a chance that something good could be done here. Like, I know this dedicated GPU can run GTA 5 half decently, as my good friend Ethan has done it on his MacBook Pro, and he has roughly the same one I do. But the problem is, when it overheats, it starts throttling and the performance just goes right through the floor, which is a huge problem with any MacBook Pro you're going to get these days, which is really unfortunate because I miss Apple being good on this front. And it felt like the pre-unibody models actually had some really beefy heat sinks on them, and they didn't used to overheat as badly. Like, I used to game on my old late 06 MacBook Pro just fine, and that was with games that were like released not even a year or 2 years prior to it coming out. This machine, on the other hand, struggles with games released 4 years prior to it. Like, I was trying to run The Witcher 2 on this, and it just did not want any part of it. I tried to run Metal Gear Solid 5 on it because I know some people have said Metal Gear Solid 5 is really optimized because the Fox engine is really, really good even on lower spec machines, and while it did run, it struggled quite a bit. GTA 5 ran fine so long as I throttled the machine back manually with Intel XTU and undervolted the crap out of it. And that's kind of the other problem. I've had to undervolt it and underclock it to get it to run at a good speed, because if you just let the machine do its own thing, it'll throttle it all the way back to like 800 megahertz, and at that point your performance is just outright garbage. It's really a huge problem with this machine, and I hate it oh so much. There's also the problem with Catalina. Now, I've been no vocal proponent of Catalina. I actually hate Catalina very much. I don't like how they're moving to notarized apps, basically making it so, like, if you want to run anything that falls outside of Apple's purview, that it's going to be much more difficult. And I know I'm very, very, very grossly oversimplifying that. I know it's not actually like that, but we're not far from that point, unfortunately. I don't like how in Mojave they're just like, OpenGL, no, screw that. And Apple fanboys have tried to say, well, Metal came out before Vulkan did. And I'm like, yeah, but Metal wasn't really a thing on Mac OS until, I believe, High Sierra, and Vulkan, I believe, was already a thing. The timelines are weird, but the point is that Apple isn't supporting Vulkan, even though, it's pretty much the de facto standard right now, and they're opting to say, well, either you support Metal or you get right out. I don't like how Apple seems to be slip-sliding back into their 90s selves with the proprietary BS, and again, Catalina just feels like we're trying to bring more of the iOS security model into Mac OS, and basically trying to stop us from running our own apps. And the whole killing of the 32-bit app thing really did not make me feel good about Catalina. So, I've had one foot out the door with macOS, and I've said if somebody were to come along and offer me a XPS 15 in exchange for this thing, I would be hard-pressed not to consider it. And, well, that day has come. I didn't get an XPS 15. In fact, I don't even have the machine yet, but I do have a machine coming that is functionally similar to an XPS 15. Arguably, it's going to be built a lot better than an XPS 15, and has a graphics card that is pretty damn good, I might add. So, a massive hint as to what this is going to be. It's going to be a professional notebook because it has a Quadro card in it, and it has a P3000, which, looking at the specs and benchmarks and all that wonderful stuff, it is about functionally equivalent to a laptop GTX 1060 with 6 gigs of RAM. I was trying to remember what kind of RAM, but I believe GDDR5, I could be wrong. But basically, it is functionally similar to a GTX 1060 mobile, which is going to be way, way better than what's in here by a long shot. So, yeah, I'm going to be very happy with that. And because it is a professional notebook, it is going to be more tuned to deal with high workloads. So, I shouldn't have to worry about it thermal throttling so bad and overheating as badly as this thing does, which is going to be very, 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 very good for me. It also comes with more RAM, and I believe user replaceable RAM, which is going to be a nice thing to have, and it also comes with a 1TB NVMe SSD that I believe is from Samsung. So those of you who are going to say, well, didn't you just upgrade the SSD in this machine? Aren't you going to miss that? I'm essentially not going to get the same thing in the new machine, so I'm not too worried about that. The other nice thing is that apparently, and I might be dropping another huge hint here, is this machine is when this manufacturer moved to internal batteries for their professional notebooks, but they automatically give their professional notebooks now the big battery, so this thing is going to last roughly 10 hours on a single charge, assuming I'm not pushing it too much. So I'm not going to miss the battery life from this either. Pretty much, all in all, it is a solid upgrade over my MacBook Pro. It's going to be nice. And I know some are going to say, well, Windows, dude, Windows 10 sucks. And honestly, I would have agreed with you about a year ago. I would have very much agreed with you a year ago. Because I didn't like how Windows felt like it was taking control away from the user, just like Catalina is. I don't like the automatic updates. I don't like how they're just kind of like flipping the bird to you. But I've had to use Windows full time for the last year or so because basically the whole Ryzen system thing, that thing was like a year in planning because Alan had told me he was going to give me his old parts like some time ago. So that whole thing was very much in planning for a while. So I've had to run Windows in anticipation. On top of that, you know, since my wonderful other half got me a Xbox One for my birthday, and I have Game Pass Ultimate, you have to run Windows 10 for that, and the consumer version of Windows 10, because I was running LTSB up to this point, and honestly, I don't hate it that much. It actually is very, very nice to me. Like, it needed to restart for an update last night. It didn't automatically restart. It actually asked me to let it restart, which was super nice. I am running Windows 10 Pro, though, but it didn't just go ahead and restart without my permission. It just said, hey, hey, can you restart when you have the chance, please? Thank you. And that was super nice of it. I like that so much better. It's much less in your face with updates. It's much less in your face with stopping you from doing stuff you want to do. And I really like it very, very much. The only thing you have to do is disable Smart Screen, I believe, but that's not terribly hard to do. Whereas with macOS, you have to know the secret command to kill Gatekeeper, and then you need to know the other command to disable the rearming function of Gatekeeper to stop it from turning itself back on and suddenly having an issue with any unsigned app you want to run. Not to mention, I'm worried about the whole notarized apps thing because it may not be bad now, but I just get the feeling Apple's going to keep delving down that hole and they're going to be chanting, security, security, security the entire way down, and their fans are just going to be like, yeah, Apple's looking out for us. And it's going to be a pain in the ass. They're going to iOSify macOS, and I really don't like where that's going. So yeah, that's what I'm getting out. I'm gonna miss things like AirDrop, I'm sure, but at the end of the day, I feel like I'm gonna be overall happier with the new machine, because being able to actually fix it myself, because, you know, repair manuals and such are gonna be plentiful, parts are gonna be plentiful, because, you know, some PC manufacturers make their parts available, and they make their repair manuals available. A plus effort there. I don't have to worry about if something goes wrong on this machine. I'm basically boned 7 ways to Sunday. It's just gonna be all around a net upgrade. So yeah, I'm gonna update with another video once I do get the machine, and well, till then, I will see you guys later.